Professor Fusion here, and today I have a very special guest for our Nutty Scientist of Houston Science and Reading Adventures. Flat Stanley is with me today, and he was sent to me by Ruby, a second grade student. Flat Stanley has been doing so many activities with me in the lab this week. He's also been to several schools to do after-school classes, and he's helped be my assistant in several scientific shows. So today I thought, what better book to share with you all than a Flat Stanley book? The one that we're going to be discussing today is Invisible Stanley by Jeff Brown. It's a great read, it's lots of fun, and it talks about the adventures that Flat Stanley has when he's invisible. But then Flat Stanley gets tired of being invisible and he wants to be seen. Will he ever be seen again? You'll have to read the book to find out. For today's scientific experiment, you're going to need a few things. First, you'll need some water-absorbent balls, or Orbeez. Next, you're going to need a glass container that it can be any size. For today's purpose, we're using a small glass container, but the bottom should be flat. You could use a vase, a glass jar, just things that you have around the house. And then you will also need an image or a picture that you're not going to want to show to your child before doing the experiment, but something that will be revealed during the experiment. And then you'll also need a cup of water as well. The concept that you're going to want to introduce or reinforce to your child before beginning the experiment is going to be refraction. And what refraction is the bending of light as it passes from one transparent substance to another, like air to water. The first thing that you're going to want to do is place your image underneath your jar such that your child can't see it, and fill your jar with the water absorbent balls, definitely filling the bottom of the jar completely, and maybe doing a couple of different layers. It doesn't have to go all the way up to the top of the jar, but make sure that your child hasn't seen the image that's underneath the jar. Now you can have your child take a look and see if they can distinguish what the image or the note is that you're hiding under the jar. The next step is going to be to have your child cover all of the water absorbent balls with water. So they'll pour the water into the container, and as they're doing so, they will get to observe what is happening and that the image is going to reveal itself, while at the same time, the water absorbent balls become invisible. You can explain to the child that the clear water balls are super absorbent polymers that can hold up to 300 times their original weight in water. When there's no water in the jar, you can see the water balls inside the jar perfectly. This occurs because rays of light scatter as they hit the water balls in the jar, making them visible. Because the water balls absorb the water, they then have the same index of refraction as water. And as light passes through, it doesn't bend. And that is why you can see the image at the bottom of the jar. And you'll be able to show the child that the water absorbent balls are now invisible. Thank you, Flat Stanley, for being such a great assistant. And thanks to all of you for joining us today. We hope you've had fun with this Nutty Scientist of Houston Science and Reading Adventures. And remember, if we're not in your school, go to your administration and say, we want Nutty Scientists of Houston to do after-school enrichment programs at our school. See you soon for another edition of Nutty Scientists of Houston Science and Reading Adventures.